What's up, blasters? Welcome to another Deadbeat Drum video. Today I'm going to show you how I go about setting up my Zoom Q8 handy video recorder. I'll go over some of the gear you'll need in order to make your Zoom Q8 function. But before we get started with today's video, you already know what I'm going to say. Please hit that like button. Don't forget to subscribe if you haven't already. That way you don't miss out my next Deadbeat Drum video. And if you have any questions, feel free to leave a comment down below. Let's get to it. And so if you're wondering if the Zoom Q8 is compatible with triggers and or electronic drum kits, it is actually. And of course the Zoom Q8 is compatible with acoustic setups. And so for my basic setup, the only thing that gets hooked up to the Zoom Q8 is two things: my snare mic and my triggers. That's it. That's all I'm using. I'm not putting mics on all my toms. Believe it or not, the Zoom Q8 does a decent job in picking up all the toms. So a small list of things that you might need in order to make this work. Of course, you're gonna need a Zoom Q8, some headphones, XLR cable or cables, 1/4" cable or cables. I'm using a snare mic. This is an Acoustics F90, and a 1/4" to an 1/8" cable. Drum module if you are triggering, or of course if you have an electronic drum set. Trigger if you are triggering your acoustic kit. And like I mentioned earlier, I'm triggering both of my bass drums. I use the Lenin RT30K triggers. 1/4" cables, of course. I already have both triggers on the bass drums, and I have both 1/4" cables going to the Lenin TD12 module. Let's start off with miking up the snare drum. This is an XLR. This is the cable to my Acoustics F90 snare mic, and as you can see, it is an XLR connection. Here, like that, and the other end is going to go to either channels 1 or 2, just like that. And if you're running bass drum triggers, hook those up. So I already have my Lenin RT30K triggers mounted. I already have the 1/4" cables that come with the triggers plugged in, and both cables go all the way to my Lenin TD12 module. And if you're not running, of course, this exact TD12 module, it's going to be pretty much almost the same. And after you plugged in your triggers to your module, we're going to want to hook this up to the Zoom Q8. This is my trusty Mugami. I got it I think a decade ago. It's a very sturdy cable, and the warranty, you can't beat it. If anything goes wrong, just send it out to them, and they'll send you another one. It's a lifetime warranty. So with my setup, we're gonna plug into the mono, and then the other end of your 1/4" cable, that's gonna go into your Zoom Q8. So let's do that. Take your 1/4" cable and you're gonna put it in channel 2. You're probably wondering how I'm gonna capture my toms. I actually don't mic them. The third channel on here is the overheads, and those are responsible for picking up the cymbals, the toms. I just let the overheads pick up all the toms. I know that looks like it's out, but it's not. It's completely in. So don't think that it's not seated right and you try to go force it and then you end up breaking some internal stuff in there, so just be aware of that. And so far, that's how I go about hooking up all the cables up to the Zoom Q8 to capture my drums. Alright, so let's turn on our Zoom Q8. As you can see, our display here, we have a few options. We're gonna go to the mixer. And before I go showing you my settings, I wanted to bring up this blue little setting right there. That is for phantom power. And so if you're running phantom power, you're gonna go here, because the default setting, it's gonna be off. Select the voltage that you want. Here's input 1, which is channel 1, which is our snare. I'm gonna click on that, and I have mine set up at -9 dB. If we go to our kick triggers, I also have it set up at -9 dB. If we go to our overheads, -9 dB, you guessed it. That's where I have all the channels set up at -9 dB. On this end, here's channel 1, here's channel 2, and here are their buttons right here. This is to turn on and off the channel. Your overheads knob is going to be right up here. For the overheads, mine's set at number 4. For channel 1, which is my snare mic, I have that set at number 5. For my kick triggers, I have that set up on number 3. Quarter-inch and 8-inch comes in handy. That way we can plug in to our module, and you're gonna wanna plug in where it says mixin stereo. That's for hearing your iPod, cell phone. 1/8 inch, that's gonna go, of course, into your iPod, cell phone. The next thing is our headphones. You actually have to plug in directly into the Zoom Q8. Zoom Q8 has a headphone jack right there. So I don't want to play any music because I will get copyrighted. I'll show you what I mean. So let's remember that my input 1 is going to be snare, input 2 is my triggers. So because also we're playing music, our music is also gonna be on this channel as well, and you'll be able to see it whether or not it's clipping. And of course our left and right channel is for our overheads. So everything's on, and I'm playing music right now, and as you can see, we're good. We're not clipping or anything, and that's where I like to have it. Let's test our snare. bass drum wise. And of course, yes, I mean, you can hear my bass drum, but it's also picking up the trigger. If I were to turn on the overheads, you know, you can hear them as well. I'll put up a little sample for you guys. That way you can hear how the whole kit sounds. So you don't want to plug in your headphones directly into the module, because if you plug in your headphones into the Zoom Q8, then you're also hearing your snare, your triggers, and your music all mixed in evenly. And if it's not, then you can adjust accordingly. So you don't want to plug in your headphones from the module. Use the headphone jack on the Zoom Q8. That way you can hear everything as best as you can, and you can adjust accordingly. Now let's say you don't have an acoustic kit. Let's say you're playing on electronics. That's actually a little bit easier. All you would have to do is just hook up to your master out mono, and the other end of your 1/4 inch will go into the Zoom Q8, and that's it. And to hear music, it's going to be the same thing. Just find the mix in, put in your 1/4 inch, 1/8 inch part that goes into whatever it is that you are using. So MP3, iPod, iPad, who knows. And then you're going to want to plug in your headphones in the Zoom Q8 headphone jack, and then adjust accordingly. That way your music and your electronic kit are mixed nicely together. And another configuration of setting up your drum set to the Zoom Q8 would be acoustically, of course. So let me give you an example. Let's pretend that I don't have a massive set like this right now, and I just have a 4-piece. So bass drum, snare, floor tom, and a high rack tom. And the way you would go about setting up this configuration through a mixer, since we're not going to have enough channels on here, the way I would approach it with what I can show you right now is try to see if you can find yourself a a reasonable mixer used online. And this has quite a few channels. I believe it has 10, 12 channels. And but let me give you that example. So you would hook up your bass drum, you would hook up your snare, you would hook up your rack tom, and you would hook up your floor tom. And as far as your cymbals, remember, it's still being picked up by the overheads over here. Or you still actually have one more channel that you can use here for an overhead mic. Remember, we're going to have one channel free here, so what that channel is going to allow us to do, what you would then do is, in my case, I would need an XLR cable, and this is my main out. I would go from here with an XLR cable to my channel 2. Since you're running through a mixer, you can fine tune through here, and of course you can fine tune through the mixer that's built in the Zoom Q8. And then at that point my acoustic kit is mic'd up and ready to go through the Zoom Q8. And there you have it, guys. That's my basic setup for doing my cover videos using my Zoom Q8. Thank you guys for stopping by and checking out today's video, supporting the channel. If you enjoyed today's video, hit that like button. If you haven't already, please don't forget to subscribe. And if you have any questions, feel free to leave a comment down below. I'll see you in the next video.